and welcome to the For Her Empire podcast. I'm your host, Abby Maucher, and in this podcast, we address the personal and business issues that female entrepreneurs face in their day-to-day lives. And today, our guest is the lovely Annette Murray. Woohoo! So she was in the army for 17 years, and of course, leaving the army and coming out of it, a lot has changed. A lot of the structure is gone, and you're in a different mental health and mental space. And so she's gonna tell us a bit more about her experience in the army, leaving the army, and then what's it been like to transition mentally from that tight structure to a day-to-day life now. Hi, Annette.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
Sorry, I laugh a lot.
So do I, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah. Okay, so you were in the army for 17 years, and that's a long time. Christ, that's a very long time. Like I cannot imagine like committing to a job for 17 years. Like, whoa, I better get like stakes in that company. But
401, a 401k plan or something, right?
yeah. At least like 10% out of that company shares. For 17 years. Wow. So what's life like in the army?
So, it was all I ever knew for 17 years. It's very structured. You had to be at certain places at certain times, and that was just my life. So I was used to it. Some of us, when we think of having a job and you get a lunch break, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get my lunch break and that's it. Well, sometimes in the military, it's not like that. And, yes, I would be frustrated to be like, man, this is the only time I have off. But then other times it's like, okay, let's do it. This is just it. And so there were times where I never left the office. I was there all day. I would eat there, but that was our job. And so I got used to it. And there were days where I would question myself, like, what the heck am I still doing? But then there's other days where I felt very fortunate to be around the people that I work with, because they'll forever be my military family.
Oh, nice. So are you still in contact with in military friends?
I am still in contact with quite a few of them, actually. And so it's just such an honor to see them progress in, professionally. I mean, I do have friends that are in, and it's been 20 years and I've known them from the beginning. And so to see where they are now is like, wow, it's amazing. And then I've seen other people who have transitioned out of the military into their civilian life, and they have families and they're just happy. And so it's just amazing to see people grow up, per se, through social media. I love being able to see that.
It's not a very long time, 17 years. Wow. Okay. So transitioning from being in the military to being a civilian, are there resources for that from the government? Or how easy or how complicated is it, the transitioning from this to now?
There is, we're told that we should start transitioning or going through that transition phase a year before we retire. So at the 19-year mark, we're told, start preparing, because it'll take that length of time to start doing your resumes and start figuring out what you want to do after the military. But with me, I had to retire. I retired early because I was not selected for the next rank. And so I was devastated. And so that really broke me. And I felt like a failure. But I also had to be reminded that, this wasn't, I can't let this define me. And I let it define me. But for me, I had 6 months to get out, and I did go through a transition program that they offer you to teach you how to write a resume, to teach you to find out what you really want to do. But because I was already mentally, I was already in that not a good mental space. I was already sad.
Yeah.
So I couldn't comprehend what I was doing. I was just going through the motions. And then when I completely had to stop wearing the uniform, I felt like, who am I now?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, because I thought I had a plan, but I really didn't. And I was really mad at the world, and I felt sorry for myself. And um, and apparently talking to other former soldiers that went through that, we all kind of felt the same, because we're so used to this structure and this family that we had, and then you no longer have that. So you wake up and you're like, I don't have to be at work at 5 in the morning. What am I going to do? And so it's just
Yeah.
really, it was really difficult for me. But it's not like that for everybody. It was just, for me, it was really difficult because I felt like a failure.
Yeah, you spent 17 years having like a very similar day-to-day routine, and all of a sudden it's gone. I can imagine
Yeah.
sometimes you wake up and you're like, I should do this, then you realize, no, I don't have to. Yeah,
Yep.
that probably happened a lot after.
Oh yeah. For like a year, it was hard.
Wow. Wow. And your husband is still in the military police.
Yes, my husband's still in. He actually was prior service, so he did time before college. He got out, did college, and then went back in. So he's been in for over 26 years, and he still
Whoa.
has another 4 more to go, only because of the position he was offered. So you have to go and
Oh.
fill that time. Yeah.
But so did he understand like the mental space you were in, like, and like, you just left something what was practically your entire life, and now you're in a civilian space where you're not mentally prepared for this drastic change. So how supportive or how understanding was he in this transition period?
So he understood to an extent, because he had soldiers that were going through a similar situation. But with me, I I didn't know how to communicate it. And I felt like, well, you don't understand, so I'm just not going to tell you. And so I shut off completely. And
Oh.
I was very difficult to handle. And so
Good.
um, he didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I just, he tried to give me space, but he tried to understand. So it was difficult. It was a difficult transition period in the family, with the family and the home. So I had to learn how to just reach out, because I did not like to hear, why don't you go talk to somebody? I was like, I don't need to talk to anybody. I could do this by myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, he really tried to be supportive, but then, it's, I didn't give him that chance.
Yeah.
So it was difficult.
Yeah. What made you? What happened that made you think I cannot go on like this? I have to reach out to someone. What was it that really pushed you to like? Okay, keeping silent has not helped me so far. Let's try something else. Let's try talking to someone. What gave you that push?
So after I retired, I started to, and I was in my dark place. There was a point in time where I really wanted to end it all, and I called a friend, and she reminded me that I had children and that I did so much with my life, and she was trying to, just tell me all the things that I should appreciate, and it was very hard for me to hear that. And so I started to write, and I that's where I created my blog called A Wild Ride Called Life, because I felt like I needed something else to express my feelings. And once I decided to share that with the world, it was almost like a sigh of relief, because I couldn't hide it anymore. It was killing me. And I had to figure out a way to save myself, but to save other people that were experiencing the same things that I was. Because at some point I realized that I wasn't the only one. It wasn't just all about me. there was
Yeah, your
plenty.
family and kids are there.
There was plenty of us who were out there, but we didn't know how to talk about it. And so that's what I figured. This is where I was pushed in that path. And I think God was like, all right, well, why don't you try this? And I did it, and it was scary, but it's helped.
Yeah. What about your kids? I know you said you had shut out your husband for a while, and how was communicating with your kids after all of this?
So I was, like I said, I was not pleasant to be around, and I took it out
I imagine.
and I took it out on my kids, and I never realized it until my daughter voiced her opinion and was like, "Mom, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you're crazy." And I took offense to that, but I was like, man, you don't realize the things that your kids see. You try to say you're fine and don't bother me and all that, but I had to really learn to communicate with them and no
Yeah,
longer hide those things because they see it. And so you just have to find the time to say, okay, this is what's really happening, this is what's really going on, and I'm not okay, and I'm going to talk to somebody, and now I'm writing and I'm trying to do all these things. So our relationship is 100 times better because of that, because I had to learn to stop shutting them out. I didn't want my kids to grow up thinking that it was okay to act like that.
yes,
I wanted them to learn that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to talk about it. And I never thought about that before, but in this day and age, it's huge. I have to teach them how to be and how not to be because of me.
yeah,
So, and that was a lot to handle for me. It was
yeah. I
really
can imagine.
eye-opening experience because nobody teaches you how to do this. There's no book.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like now, I mean, I still have this idea of my mom of her being like this unshakable, non-emotional, non-vulnerable person. Like this idea, I know she's not because now that I get older, I start to realize that, hey, mom is human. I don't like you doing that, dude. And
Yeah.
when you're growing up, I sort of thought her as perfect. Like she could do no wrong. Like this was the way of life and this should be it. But then I guess seeing you change, so to speak, seeing you show everything now, then seeing you being vulnerable, it's sort of like, okay, mom's a human being as well. She gets hurt, she gets angry, she gets frustrated. And at the same time, I don't think it's that fun from a parent's perspective to show a sort of weakness to your kids. I think you want to remain mom and like this superhero sort of.
Yeah.
That could not be fun.
Yeah.
I feel like if I saw my mom break down, I would run away.
My mom was, she was a single parent for a while, and I never understood why she was the way she was until I became a parent. And I think everybody says that you won't understand until you have kids, and it's true because I never realized why she was so strict and why she did the things she did. I just thought, man, she's horrible and she's crazy.
Yeah,
But
you're like, oh my god,
but
let me
but
live my life, mom.
exactly. And so now I'm like, man, I was a terrible kid. I tested her every chance I got, and I'm just lucky that she let me live because I was
Yeah.
I was a rebel, and my brother was the good kid.
Oh, I can
So
relate. I can relate. Like last time I saw my family was 5 years ago. So I can definitely relate. Like actually like a completely different country from everyone.
yeah,
So like I just like I like space right now. They're like two countries between us. That kind of space.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I can relate. No, although that did affect me a bit because since I don't see you like I think yeah 2015 yeah 2015 5 years the last time I actually saw my mom face to face and then
Wow.
when I think that I can stay without seeing my family for 5 years then I can definitely do without like being in a relationship with somebody and see you constantly like you I can do 6 years without you like, yeah that sucked so I cannot imagine what's like wow
Yeah.
this suck parenthood I don't want any personally but parenthood yeah. But it's like, how is being in the army and having kids though? Like, do you get like off days or something?
So that was difficult because I joined the army already 4 months pregnant. So Um,
Oh.
so I had my daughter. It was, I don't know what I was thinking. So I had my daughter right when a year after, and then I had my son 2.5 years after that. So they were literally raised the whole time in the military. So it was, it was definitely, I grew up real quick because I had to learn how to be a wife and a mom at the same time. And so I I don't even know how I did it, really. I just think by the grace of God, because I had to juggle it. I had to take them to daycare early in the morning, then I had to go to work, then I had to pick them up afterwards at daycare, and it was just like,
It's all this is in the barrack.
I'm sorry?
Like picking up your kids, daycare, going to work. All this is within the army barrack.
Wow. Sometimes I would be on one. Uh, the unit was located on one base, and then I'd have to go to another base to pick them up. It wasn't always in the same area, so I'd always be like driving all over the place to pick up the kids. And so, and then when I had to go for training, I had to make sure my husband was going to be able to take time off, and so it was just like it was crazy. But we learned how to be a team. So my kids grew up fast because I had to tell them, okay, it's just us. We have to do this. We have to do that. And like, okay, mommy. And so it'd just be like, we just learned, and they learned to be resilient, and they learned that things changed at the drop of a hat, and they understood. And I still felt bad because, there's times where they had a school function and I'd say, I can't go, I have a meeting, and it sucked. It sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
But they understood because I just had to tell them the truth. So it was hard.
They're pretty awesome. And you understood with like minimal fussing. Like, yeah. I did not understand. She missed one single event. Like, you don't love me anymore. I did not understand. Your kids are pretty mature. They're pretty mature. Like, oh my God.
They are. They struggle sometimes because they wish they could be in one spot for more than 2 or 3 years. They want to, like with me, I grew up in the same area from 6 years old till I was 21. They never got that chance. So it was difficult when we had to leave their friends, and there was a point where they were tired, and they would get mad, like, why do we have to leave again? And so, yeah.
Oh yeah. I can relate. My mom moved around a lot, and I only saw her a few times a year. And then so she worked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria. So she would travel a lot, or she would get posted to a place for 3 years and all that and all that. So I did not see her that much. So they had first moved her from Lagos to Abuja, it's a different state in Nigeria. So she stayed there for a while. And I would only see her during Christmas. And so prior to that, we stayed with my dad. But eventually we're like, okay, maybe we could stay with her. So we stayed with her, and then she moved to a different country. So we're like, okay, let's move. So we kept moving and moving and moving. It was a bit exhausting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I did have trouble making friends. So I can relate to your kids right now.
That's
Yeah,
hard.
and there's something quite sad about having a friend that you know is temporary. Because I'm like, in 3 years, I'm going to leave you to a different country. Like, so like, we can be friends, and I would attempt to keep in touch for like the first year, and it just fizzles out.
Yeah. It's
They
so
start
hard.
again. It just kind of. I just give up hope at some point. Like, it's not gonna work out. I did have trouble making friends. I think that's part of the reason why I'm okay with my own company. Like
Right.
the COVID thing here happened. We had a lockdown in March. I did not step outside my environment until last week. I was indoors 3 months straight. And then the farthest I went to was to go buy food downstairs. And that was as far as I went. And everyone was like, no, you need to have some human contact and go out. And I was like, why? What for though? So I just did not have any human contact. I just got used to it. And so I just stayed indoors. Then, and then a friend of mine, Patience, she was like, Abigail, come visit me. I'm like, No. You can talk on Zoom or WhatsApp. Like, must I see your face? Do I have to be close to you? Like, what do you need to have contacts for anyway? Like, stay away from me. I hope your kids do not get this introverted. I hope not. Yeah, making friends is exhausting. Going on is exhausting. Like now 26, and going anywhere is exhausting. I'm like, I'm gonna get dressed, walk down the stairs, take a cab, go to my destination, stay there for a few hours, come back, climb upstairs, change out of my clothes. Who has the energy for all of this?
That is so true.
I just cut off human contact completely.
That's so true.
I hope you're better than me. Okay, I have a question to ask. It might be a bit ignorant, and it's based on dramas and romance novels and military romance novels. So if it sounds ridiculous, please just ignore it.
No, it's okay. What? Go ahead.
Okay, do soldiers curse that much? Like Nick Fury in Avengers. Do they curse all the time? Like, you motherfucker! They curse all the time.
That's a hard question. Some of us do. Some of us just do. It's like part of the vocabulary. I don't know what it is, because it all depends on who you're surrounded by. You might be surrounded by people who don't. Because I did have bosses who did not curse, but then I had bosses who did, and so it was like you're around the different types. So it all depends. Yes.
Next question. How likely is it for your boss to tell you, drop down and give me 50? How likely is that?
If you mess up, it can happen. I when I was training, I did something stupid, and he told me to drop down and give him 50, and I had to do it.
What happens if you cannot do like 50 push-ups in one set? What happens? Do you like start again?
Yeah. It all depends on how nice they want to be. If they start over from one, or if they continue on where you left off. So it all depends.
Yeah. But if I cannot do it the first time from one, how starting again help me do? Oh, power is back! Woo! Power is finally back. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, it looks brighter now. Nice. Okay, next question. Are there like army onesies for kids? Like that you put your kids in, like a tiny officer? Do you do that?
Did I do that?
Yeah, like
no.
Oh, so cute.
I did not. They did have they didn't have a onesie when my kids were born, but they had like a 2-piece outfit. I did do that.
Oh, it's good.
I only did it I just bought one outfit and both kids wore it. That was it. My husband was like, don't dress them like that.
Really? I mean, so cute, like you, this and then your kid like this also. Oh, that so cute.
It is so cute.
Yeah. So, would you encourage your kids to join the military?
So it's funny because my daughter was interested, and I didn't want them to join. But as they got older and they started asking questions, we did have the discussion with them about, why do they want to, what branch do they want to, and what's your goal out of it, because we can't stop them, but I just want to make sure they're on the good path. There's some kids who will just join, and they don't know what they want to do. Because of our experience, we want to make sure that if they're going to do it for the right reasons. So, but they don't want to join anymore. So my son is like, nope, I don't want to join the military at all. My daughter was like, maybe, but now she doesn't want to. So, I just...
I'm happy about that.
I am, only because I'm afraid. There's so much going on in the world, but I also know that, we were contemplating with my son, we were actually trying to encourage him to join like the Air Force, for example, because he wants to be a welder. So there are pros to joining. But like I said, if we encourage them to join, it's for the right reason. and for their future. So, but he doesn't want to do it. He's like, nope, I don't care. I don't want to do it. So I think that's one of the important things now is not, I don't necessarily encourage them, but I talk it out with them. Because in the beginning, I was like, no, you're not joining the army. You're not joining the military. But now I'm like, you
Yeah.
know what? I can't say no anymore because they can easily go down there and just do it. So,
Uh, and very ignorant and potentially offensive question coming in. Please don't answer it if it's quite offensive. Okay, so I read this. Okay, it's from a military romance book. So okay, so I read most of my ideas come from there. So military romance book. The Chase. They always called Chase for some reason. Left the military and then apparently had PTSD. What exactly is that? And does that happen to military officers after they leave the army or leave the military?
so PTSD, the post traumatic stress syndrome, it doesn't happen to every soldier, but it is more common than we think because of certain events that they've gone through the military. When some soldiers go to combat or some soldiers experience a sexual trauma, if they were assaulted or they were harassed in the military, you can develop that. So it does happen, but it doesn't happen to everybody. It just depends on what they've gone through, and we don't really know what everybody goes through until they decide to talk about it. So that's a good question, though. Yeah.
Thank you. I thought it was a very offensive question.
No, it's absolutely not offensive. It's just it's just a tricky subject because it all depends on the person.
So what about like therapy or coaching or communities where like vets? That's what you're called, right? Vets.
Yes.
And you're retired. Yeah, so I did like communities where you guys sort of like get together and meet maybe once a week, once a month, and just talk about your experience so far, or like adjusting and all that.
So there are numbers to call. It all depends on where you're located. I don't know if there are communities like that. I know on Facebook there is, and I'm part of a large one, and sometimes vets or even soldiers that are still in are comfortable in talking over in that type of community. But there are a lot of resources, but sometimes it's just hard for people to even say something's wrong because they don't want to be judged. So
No.
I think that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, is because I know how it is, and we just need to all come together and continue to create that space to where they are comfortable talking about it. So it's hard.
Something you mentioned is still sticking with me. You said that usually after the 19 years, you have 1 year where you're being taught how to write your resume and what you want to do. Do the government, okay, I mean, Kenya, as I know, US Kenya is completely different, I'm assuming, I know nothing about military. So do the government like apply to places for you or help you find a job or something?
The military does have a place on the post or the base where they can help you. They won't do it for you, but they help you. So you can go get assistance on your resume, and then they can give you ideas on where you can submit that resume and so on. So there are resources to help you depending on what you want to do.
No. Do you use any of them?
Did I use any of them? Yeah. I went to one, but I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. So I never completed that part. I didn't know what I wanted.
Do you regret it?
Sometimes I do, but I think at this point in my life, I feel like I'm on the path I'm supposed to be on. So it's okay.
We're cheering you on.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you're all happy, and I always pictured like a retired military person would be all like stern and like Nick Fury from Avengers, like they were smiling. I always picture that, but you're laughing the entire time.
Some people are still grumpy. They're so grumpy old retired people. But
Yeah.
no, there's some of us that are happy now. So
I'm so proud of you.
thank you.
Woo! I definitely couldn't. And the worst part is that in Nigeria, before you do apply for a job, you have to do 1 year service, and I'm dreading that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
You
they call
know,
it a youth service. But in that youth service, for the first month or so, you would spend it in a military barrack, like being trained and all that. Then you're posted anywhere in the country. So you don't get to quite choose, and it has to be a different tribe from where you are. But that's 1 month of being in a police barrack is still scaring me. Like, oh my god, I like to sleep. Like, I don't take calls to be interrupted and I'm sleeping.
you know, it's really quite surprising what you can do, because I went to a Catholic school, and I never experienced anything like I did in the military, and I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was going to just try it out in college. I said, let me just try the Army. I don't know. And I'm surprised that I did it. I'm really surprised at what I put myself through. But I think once you surround yourself by other people that are in the same position you are, you kind of learn to lean on each other as a family, and you support each other and encourage each other. So, it's funny because I never thought I would have lasted that long. And I hear people say, oh, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how I did it either, but I did. And so I know that other people can. I know other people can. It's a scary thought. It is, because, there's a lot of people who are like, I could never do it. Well, I think you could. It just takes a lot of, it's all mental. It's a mental, it's all mental. And I never realized that until later.
Last question. Is the water, like bathing water, is it cold or is it heated?
It's what?
Like the bathing water, is it cold or it's been heated already? Like taking a
What?
bath, like cold water?
Oh, so in training, it was whatever came out. And we had like
Hence why I cannot do this.
5 minutes, 5 different people go in and get out. So I've learned how to take quick showers. Even now, I do everything at the same time. That's just what I learned.
I cannot. Water has to be like hot to the point of scalding. If it's not hot enough, I add more.
Oh my gosh.
That's hot enough.
I can't do that. I can't take
I have to
that.
see the steam come out before I get in there. You're taking your time, you're like, not soapy enough. Okay. Not soapy enough.
So that's so funny.
I cannot. How long have we been? Oof, wow. We've talked for over 40 minutes. Anything else you want to add? And as well as talk about your blogs, people can come look at it.
Oh yeah, so my blog or my website is a wild ride called life.com, and on there you can find anything. There's links to my podcast. It's called The Truths We Hide, and you can contact me there, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest.
What's Instagram? See, I'm using the same phone.
Yeah,
I'll check you out on Instagram right now.
Yeah,
you can still do this.
It's a wild ride called life.
Let's see. I'm recording my phone, and it's a bit weird. Typing. Wow. I think I found it. Ta-da.
Okay.
Army Combat Vets, RET, Male Spouse, that's it?
Yes.
Mom, yes, found it. Woohoo, okay, following you. So, Loki stalky from now onwards.
Yeah, so you can find me. Yeah, if you go to my website, they'll have all the links to find me where.
It's nice talking to you and answering all my ridiculous questions from my romance dramas and books.
No silly question. I understand. It's perfectly okay. No, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. Bye.